Well, damn it, I'm going. And from what my sister Jasmine has told me about it, it should be a nice time, Persephone said. She was slightly stunned at Tamika's outburst, but chose not to let it faze her. The two women walked along further in silence, passing J.C. Penney's, then KB Toys, moving toward the corridor with the Coney Island restaurant that opened up at 7:30 a.m. From the smells wafting from their direction, the breakfast, bacon, and coffee were now being prepared. Tamika usually ordered then gobbled down a full breakfast of scrambled eggs, four strips of bacon, two link sausages, orange juice, and a buttered muffin after their walks. Faithfully. Persephone just ordered the apple or sometimes prune juice. Tamika assumed it was because Persephone couldn't afford any breakfast since she knew Persephone wasn't employed. One more lap and it's breakfast time, Tamika said, taking in one last deep breath as they moved away from the radius of the restaurant. I might have some breakfast today myself. I feel like a nice hot meal for a change this morning, Persephone said, breathing in the caloric aromas. Two. Yeah, uh-huh. You gonna do like the rest of my friends, Tamika mused. Lose all that weight and stay skinny for 2 minutes, then gain all of it back and even more before you even got on the diet. Tamika always had her moments. When Persephone least suspected it, she'd start tripping on Persephone. Was it envy? Could she be jealous? Persephone often wondered, was that the reason Tamika would trip like she did? And although she never confronted Tamika with her suspicions, she felt they were true. Nah, I ain't gaining none of it back. I worked too hard to get the fat off me. Lord knows I did. Persephone almost snapped, but caught herself. Okay, okay. Just chill, all right? Tamika said with a tone of agitation. The two walked past a group of a dozen walkers, then a group of three. Persephone and Tamika quickly overtook them, knowing that this was their final lap. Skipper's t shirt was the landmark for their starting place each day when they walked, and this was their point of reference when they took their last lap. When they approached the t shirt place, Persephone pointed out one sweatshirt amongst the many in the front window display. I hate that red sweatshirt. I think that's so insulting, Persephone said, pointing out the shirt by nodding her head in the direction of the window display. Will they print up anything? What did it say? Tamika said, not even glancing in the direction of the t shirt shop, probably trying to hurry up and finish so that she can get to breakfast with her juicy booty shaking as she tried to increase her walking speed. It said Detroit, where the weak are killed and eaten, Persephone declared. Shit, that's power. They know not to fuck with us, huh? Tamika said as if dismissing the subject. That ain't quite the spin I put on it. I mean, to me, it's like a slap. Like they saying Detroit is this tribe consisting of little tribes who fight, maim, and kill each other, like one big violent Tarzan movie, Persephone tried to explain. Well, shit, ain't that what we do to each other every day? Tamika debated. But that's my point. I mean, when did that become the norm for our Afro American people? Persephone questioned her. I've been meaning to ask you, what is this Afro American shit? Where are you pulling that shit out from? You are African American, all right? Tamika declared. Excuse me, Tamika, but Brother Malcolm X himself used the term to define our people, and to me it makes a sense. It makes so much sense because Africa ain't the only blood that runs through our veins and makes me who I am. I have Native American in my blood. I have French in me. And I believe the only reason we went from being termed as black to African American is because of the knee jerk reaction our people use to counter the abuses of subtle racism. Persephone said, not ever put into words before how she felt about being referred to as African American. but thinking that what she had said pretty much summed it up. You just stupid, Tamika declared. You know, I must be stupid. I must be one of the most stupid motherfuckers you know. If I let you talk to me the way you do, Tamika, Persephone said, now beyond fed up. Well, you know what to do about it if you don't like it, Tamika challenged. Evidently, you got the problem with my conversation, all right? So you don't have to listen then, Sister Love. And she was getting loud. Tamika, Persephone stopped now and held one hand up, signaling a halt, blinking her eyes in dismay, and trying not to allow herself to be dragged into the confrontation Tamika was demanding. I wish you Godspeed. Tamika had paused her stride long enough to look at Persephone. At first, at first with a predatory look, then one of confusion. She looked as if she was about to speak, then decided against it, and walked on with the humph. Only a couple of people had actually partially witnessed the exchange, and they just gave her quick scrutiny and continued on their way. She walked over to the opposite side of the floor and started in the other direction toward the t shirt place, now not feeling as hungry as she thought. Persephone quickly drove home and headed straight for the shower. Later, she toweled off in front of the full length mirror on her closet door, opening the big blue, fluffy drying towel. She looked at her body, really looked at it. She had glanced at her body before. After years of being oversized, she tended not to concentrate on what her body looked like naked. It didn't matter as long as the size 24 dress fit, but she had never viewed her entire body in the full length mirror, at least not this body. What she couldn't believe was how small her waistline had become. Not that it was tiny, but it had curves that flowed up to her breasts. And speaking of breasts, those seemed to be the only thing that didn't get smaller as the rest of her body shrunk. She turned slowly to one side, examined her profile, then switched to the other side. There were fading stretch marks on her lower stomach area, and truthfully, she had to admit to a small pot belly. But her butt looked nice and tight, with only a few stretch marks visible. They were more evident on her butt than on her stomach. With some cocoa butter, they'll be faded in no time, Persephone hoped. Her legs from behind had the athletic curve that Persephone had often admired on ice skaters, where the butt muscles curved to connect with the rear thigh muscles. After wrapping the towel back around her body, she lotioned up really well. Then Persephone missed her undies with the last corner of her red perfume, pulled on her robe, and started to apply her makeup lightly while seated at her vanity table. Her face had even taken on a transformation. Her high cheekbones were more prominent, making her dimpled cheeks even more alluring. Persephone had always had a beautiful thick head of shoulder-length hair, which she pampered. Now the hairstyle fit the face. She wouldn't dare share her vain summations with anyone else. But for once, Persephone was beginning to feel like a beautiful woman, and it was a foreign but welcome feeling. She looked forward to soon taking Germany by storm and leaving the madness of this life behind. For a while, at least, Persephone had managed to save up $8,000 that she hadn't touched. Not that 8,000 was her goal, it was just that she kept a savings schedule when she was working, and by the time the job ended, she'd saved $8,000.